He taught me that masculinity isn't about noise, it's about presence. That real strength isn't about domination, it's about responsibility. He showed me that legacy isn't about how loud you roar, but who still hears your echo after you're gone. Thor lived with honor. He didn't care about clicks or clout. He cared about the truth, about raising men up, about holding the line when culture tried to erase everything sacred. He fought for fatherhood, for loyalty, for purpose. He gave every ounce of himself to the mission. And those that know him know about the mission. Even when his body was failing him, he never asked for anything he wasn't willing to give. He never gave advice he didn't live. And even in his weakest moments, when cancer tried to break him, he still found a way to lead. That's the kind of man Thor was. Our friendship was forged in fire. It wasn't just built on shared beliefs. It was built on a brotherhood, on sacrifice, and on showing up when it cost something more than you expected. He knew my demons, and I knew his. And through it all, we sharpened each other up. We held each other accountable. We laughed hard. We fought hard. And we loved each other like blood. In his final days, I was honored to serve him, to carry him, to protect his dignity, because that's what he did for me, long before he ever needed anything from me. Thor gave me more than just mentorship. He gave me a deeper understanding of what it means to be a man. He taught me how to stand firm when the whole world tries to break you. He taught me how to speak with clarity. Taught me how to love with boundaries, lead with conviction. And in the end, he taught me how to die with dignity. So today we don't just mourn him, we celebrate him. Because men like Thor don't really die. They ignite. Their fire keeps burning in every life that they've touched, every man that they've challenged, every truth that they stood for when it would have been easier to stay silent. To the mighty men we called Thor, I love you, brother. I miss you. And I'll make damn sure that your mission doesn't die with you. You showed us what it means to live relentlessly. And I'll carry on that torch. So I want you to rest well, my friend. You're a warrior. You fought hard, and you've earned it. I may have lost my friend, but I've gained a brother and another family. And what's up, bro? Gotta get your mic on.
What's up, buddy? I said I love that. That was beautiful. He loved you so much, man. He loved all of us. I just want to thank everybody here for, carrying on his mission and his legacy and honoring him and just, all the advice that he's given. And, I hold it really close to my heart just because obviously he's my father and he's taught me so much, just as much as I know he's probably taught a lot of you, and especially you, Glenn. One thing about him that I want to say is just he was so loving. I know he's very super just tight, and just his mind was just really sharp, and behind all that was a very compassionate, empathetic, loving father to all of his children, his 3 sons and his daughter. And he's taught us a bunch, how to love, how to be mothers, fathers, and I'm really excited because I just had a new baby girl, so it's a little bittersweet over the last couple weeks with him going, and just being able to find solace in the fact that I get to pass on his legacy and his teachings to my newborn. And she's so beautiful, and I know he would have loved her so much. I don't know, Glenn. I could talk about my dad for hours, but I just want to honor him and say, I'm very proud to be his son. I know he was proud of me, and I know all my siblings could say the same. And as I'm sure as friends and mentorees, you guys could probably say the same thing. I love you, Dad.
Well, Dane, I got a lot of people here that want your family to know how much your dad means to them. And you're the patriarch. You are the new patriarch of the family.
We all pull our weight.
And I want you to hear, I have your sister here with me. Your sister's in studio.
Hi,
she's here. You can't hear her because I don't let her have a mic because, she just talks and talks and talks. No, I'm kidding. But I want you and your family to hear these great stories. And I'm going to bring up somebody that you know, your dad's oldest friend, Victor.
Oh,
and
that's my buddy.
Hey, buddy. I remember when you were still in your mama's belly. And then when you came out.
Victor's amazing, everyone. He's been my dad's best friend for his oldest best friend. And
yep.
they've been in bands together. My dad got me started with guitar when I was like 12, and always talked about his friend Victor, who could play all the Van Halen songs. Victor,
no, you're the topper here. I know this kid, and he's really good. This family has this massive creative streak in it. Ever since I met them, his mom put Mitch on the Gong Show, and I remember that. And then, it was just never-ending stream of creative things. If it wasn't artwork or music or building things, Mike was always really into everything. He switched from guitar to bass to play for us, for me and my band. And then when this guy came along, we were doing stuff. We'd started working out. We were doing all kinds of different things. So Mike knew how to weld. He was doing all kinds of crazy mechanical stuff. But if you guys didn't know, there's my amp table. There's a variety of different amps back there, and that's the company I started. And I had it was pretty successful. I have rock stars, including Eddie Van Halen. He was one of my clients. A lot of them. The song that Glenn played, Dane, that's Lynch and Pilsen. George Lynch is one of my clients. So I thought your dad would like that song, because he kind of moved from the 80s metal stuff. He was like, don't play that stuff. You want hard, heavy metal with this, working out. So I found something that I thought we'd both really like, and I asked Glenn to play it. And that's what that was. So, but I started in this because Dane's grandpa, Mark, he was an industrial electrician. And when I met, I was 17. I think Mike was a year older. He's about 18. He had already graduated high school. He took the high school proficiency exam. He challenged it at 16, and he graduated. And his dad put him to work immediately with him in Bloomington, California. And they were his father was an industrial electrician. So they were making, he was making all this heavy duty stuff in the manufacturing plants, like the steel mills and places. And Mike was getting his hands, he's learning all this stuff. And so he had also, his dad took a course called Cleveland Institute of Electronics. Before the internet, we used to do it by mail. And Mike took it. Mike also took that course and completed it. And it was an electronic study course. Well, because of that, I took that course and I learned electronics. And I wanted to learn it because I played guitar and I wanted to fix my amps. And so that's where I got started in it. I think I really got into it probably around 83, 84. I really started getting into electronics. But so that's where the genesis behind my electronics background. So if I hadn't met Mike, I probably wouldn't have started that amp company. And I probably wouldn't have attended all the Peter Frampton concerts. And who else did we go see? Sweetheart, ZZ Top, big client of mine, still talk to him. Who else?
Victor, wasn't Dane a client of yours?
Not a client, but he's an amazing guitar player. He blows doors on me. Did you go to Guitar Institute, the technology?
Went to Musicians Institute, and then I became a professor there for a short period of time. Like
professor. All right. Yeah, he's the smoking guitar player in this whole place. He's amazing, way past anything I and my friends could do. So, and it's just mind-boggling, right? So the talent just keeps going on and on in this family. So that's who they are. And I had a lot of, for all the things that happen, you weave in and out of life, all the different things. I saw these kids come into being, and then I saw his family change and grow. And I saw all the things. He went through an underground explosion. He went like this when the explosion went, and it burned his arms and his hands, and he was pretty bad off. Well, at that time, his mom was in the movie industry with Miko, and she got him into the Sherman Institute, a burn institute, and got him some special care. Stopped the pain. He was in terrible pain. And he was at home and he was consuming, I think, like 10,000 calories a day and then just falling asleep on the couch. So I show up, his dad's there, and I'm like, I just didn't know what I could do to help. So I brought this big giant antenna that I put up for him so he could get TV services. And, he was like consuming all these potato chips and he just crashed right out. His body was rebuilding. And for years, he wore these gloves that would sand his skin, sort of keeping the scars from getting too thick. And that went down. And, years after that, I think he was with Missy shortly thereafter. He met Missy and they started dating. And they got that house over there in Apple Valley, and he stayed there and just, continued traveling all the way down to Rosemead. And he started doing the jiu-jitsu. This is a guy who's on the road at least 2 hours in the morning, right? Commuting, just enough time on the windshield to make anybody pass out. He goes through a whole work day, then goes to jiu-jitsu, and he's doing that. Then he drives home and he does it all over again, right? He's in bed, whatever that was. And then he's up and doing this commute, these 2.5 hour commutes, because the traffic's horrendous in LA. Death by 1,000 cuts every day you get on that road. And he's learning jiu-jitsu. He becomes a master, and they tell him, hey, you're good enough. You can represent us and teach jiu-jitsu, which, of course, he starts a little studio. He's still working. And I took my son, Greg, and he went there. And I tried it. I had a lot of trouble with my neck and shoulders, so I couldn't go into it too much. But, my son, Greg, and then, of course, you, Dane, you did it. That was really great. You did great. And
That's what I wanted.
Everybody who got near him learned something about jiu-jitsu, became the test dummy. So it was fun. And there you go. So, I can go on and on. But in the end, he has so many different places of development. That's what that amounts to, right? He developed in his creativeness. When I met Mike, he was the fat dude. He was fat. He was like really overweight. By 19, he was by a year later, he decided that he didn't want any more of that. So he shed all this weight. He started working out. I remember I come over to his house. By the way, they lived in what looked like a castle when I first met them. His father built this custom house, and he's hanging upside down like a bat, and he's doing sit-ups backwards, right? He's doing these sit-ups like this, or he's just laying upside down, flexing, and he's got this six-pack, right? And I'm looking at him like, shit, dude, you're way ahead of me.
No.
He just went from
Okay.
one thing to the next, kaboom, boom, boom. So that's how he was. He was mentally driven, very disciplined, always wanted to beat. He was very competitive, and that drove him. And also, I always thought he was a really good leader. He had a piece in him that made him capable of good leadership. He had a temper. He could get that on him, but it wasn't that bad. Most of the time, it was pretty good. If it was out of control, you just leave. So other than that, I never really had it. He was forever and ever. It's like my longest friend forever and ever. So there you go. And I would say to everybody here, him at this point in his life, this junction where he developed this new project. Okay, that's where his mind took him. But all the things in the past, his father was a big influence, right? He became a survivalist. He was really into guns and knives and all this cool stuff. That all comes from his dad, who was really good at that kind of stuff. He was a really smart guy. And so you guys see that what shaped him was his parents. He had a wonderful mother and a wonderful father. And his family was really a good family. And I think that's the moral of the story. Build a strong, wonderful family. Have faith in God. Don't separate yourself from God, because then you're nobody. Then you're just getting pushed around by the world. They've got nothing for you. God is the place to go. Once you've got him in your life, you're centered, you're strong. And by the way, just so everybody knows, my wife, who's sitting over here to the left, come here. She came with me when she very first met. Was it Mike that you first met? He was leading a Bible study. He had this group called The Way Ministries. It was a kind of like, it was this, mail order type of ministry. And he was having Bible studies in homes. So he used to lead those. That's the first time my wife met him. So he was a strong Christian when I knew him. He was very faithful. And so I don't know where he went after that, but Glenn brought him back. Whatever, he wanted to come back. And I just want to say to everybody, I'm not sure where your faith is, but for me, it was very important to find out that he had a salvation before he left this earth. And that's what I wanted to say thanks to Glenn for that. That's so important to me, Glenn. And I'm so thankful that you were with him. Thank you. And, God bless you. And God bless your, Dane, I love you guys.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats on the baby. My wife choked up when she heard you say you had a little girl.
Do you have the same number?
Yes, I do. I'm going to send it to you. We're going to text it.
I have the same number.
We love your family. I love all the Markinson family. I love you, Mary. If you're not there, I love all of you. And I didn't forget Molly. She was this little skinny kid that used to roller skate all the time when I'd come over. And, I love you, Mitch, even though I don't see you all the time. All of your family is my family. They kind of took me in. And, because I was being raised by my grandparents, and these people were really good to me. So that's the truth of it.
I got a message here. I'm going to play, Victor, and then I'm going to bring everybody else up. I'm going to bring you down. Dane, you are going to stay right where you are, sir, because, that's your spot. So, but here, Miko is traveling right now, and he's unable to join live. He is watching, and he's in the chat, but he did make this message before he left for everybody.
Hey everyone, this is Miko. I was Thor's youngest brother, and yes, I am Thor's youngest brother. Yeah. That was weird.
Hold
You say past tense and present tense. Here in the Dragon Ship studio, pre-recording this. I'm going to be traveling probably the day that this is shown, but I should be in the audience as much as possible if I'm on the road.
What is your Thor story?
My Thor story.
I'm sure you got so many.
Yeah, Thor was he was my oldest brother, but he was more like a father figure because of the age difference. He was having his kids when I was kind of first coming online. So when I was a kid, I kind of thought of him more as like an uncle, an older uncle, because of the age difference. But once I became a young man and was dealing with family drama, and my real dad wasn't the best guy, really didn't lead a good example. Thor kind of took that place, and I always looked up to him. He always treated me like a son, even though I wasn't one of his direct kids. He was always had good insight when I needed direction or some of the a male perspective, so to bounce ideas off of. And he was a great guy. It doesn't even seem real that he's gone yet, but maybe that's for the best, so that I can make this video well put together. He will certainly be missed, and everything that my experiences with him and everything that he taught me, I will continue to live by and consider his thoughts and what advice he might give me in a given situation for the rest of my life. He was loved by many within the family and outside of the family. I see there's probably a lot of people here watching it today. And that just goes to show for that. Not sure what else to say.
What is something that you think Thor would want everybody to remember him by? I would say it would be his beard, his
Yeah.
his little stain.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he would want to be remembered as strong and capable, confident, all of the things that he was and what most people know him as. But I also, as a close family member, remember before he came to that realization. And he always was a good man growing up. But there was a transition at a certain point when Thor became Thor. Almost a character of himself. He really got into self-improvement. And in a weird way, it's almost like two losses. Because I remember who he was when I was 10. And I remember who he was when I was 25, 30.
So it's almost like you're saying Mikkel
Yeah.
Mikkel passed away,
Yeah.
and then Thor emerged.
Thor was the phoenix that came out of the ashes of Mikhail. Yeah. He had a good life, an interesting life. He was very intelligent. He was always wanting to pursue knowledge. He was obsessive in his
Pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah, he was obsessive in his pursuit of knowledge and his hobbies and endeavors, almost to a fault at times. But I think people's greatest weaknesses are also their greatest strengths. They're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
I wish I had, in a lot of ways, I wish I had his drive and passion and tenacity in the things that he did. He didn't. When he got into something, he didn't take it at surface level. He would go deep. He would take that topic as deep as he could. And I think that kind of crafted who he became later in life as Thor.
Were you part?
All right. I wanted to bring up everybody else. And I'm going to drop down to give everybody the room. But Paul Bauer is our VP. He's been Thor's VP, the Dragon Ship. So, Paul, I'm going to have you just moderate, let everybody talk, and do your job, VP.
I don't have any controls, but I'll do my best.
All right.
All right.
All right. There you go.
Yeah,
I'm-
who's cutting all the damn onions? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, a lot of that going around.
Man, it's good seeing everybody here, though.
Yeah.
Dana, I don't know if you ever tuned into Thor's Dragon Ship streams on Saturdays and stuff. A lot of us here were on that panel show, and it was kind of a big deal. We're kind of all a little bit of our own little family here, and so it's really good to actually get to meet you virtually on this. I wish it was under better circumstances, though.
Likewise. No, I recognize all your guys' faces. I've watched the videos, and it's fun seeing the different conversations. It's enlightening. Everybody has their experience in life, and it's just cool to see how my dad is able to, give out his knowledge of his experiences, to help people. But he was also learning all the time, even until he died, just trying to figure out a new thing. Or he just, like Miko said, his pursuit of knowledge was just endless, and it never wavered. He's that guy. And I'm sure you guys all, learned that as you got close to him. So it's nice to finally meet all of you here. And I see my Uncle Mitch there. What's up, buddy?
Good to see you, brother. It was really nice talking to you last week, man. I sure hope to see spend more time with you.
For sure.
It's good. You mentioned Miko, and Miko, we just saw his video. A lot of people don't know this, but Miko was the kid in Kindergarten Cop that said, "Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina." That was him. That's Thor's little.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Isn't it amazing? Like,
Classic.
that little boy knew that back then, and now it's such a big fucking confusion. But let's not go off topic here. Donovan Sharp, the legendary Donovan Sharp.
Stop.
You've known Thor for a long time, man.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about all this?
Well, the interesting thing is the video montage in the beginning. The one thing that jumped out to me was when he said licking your assistant's balls. And I was just like, okay, all right. Thor's definitely in his element, right? In terms of him holding men accountable for their actions and mindset. This, and something that Dane said earlier, really, really struck a chord with me. And stay with me here because I'm going somewhere with this. There is a movie called Autumn in New York. And the very, very long and very, very short of it is that Richard Gere plays this. He's like a 48, 50-year-old entrepreneur. He's got this restaurant business. He's a lady killer. He's got everything he wants and needs in his life except for love. Well, he meets this 22-year-old, upstart, sort of bohemian girl, and they fall in love. Well, the tragedy of it is that she is terminally ill with neoblastoma. And at the end of the movie, of course, they had their trials and tribulations. They decided to start a relationship. He found out he cheated on him. And, it's just the man-woman thing. Well, in the end, Richard Gere's character, I think his name was Will, he tried to save Winona Ryder's character. Her name was Charlotte. And, with all of his money and status, he managed to get the best doctors to operate on this when and if the time came. And so they're walking in, I think it's Manhattan or Central Park. And of course, she collapses. They rush her to the hospital. J.K. Simmons is the doctor who is charged with the task of saving this woman's life. He comes out of the operating room and he throws down his smocks, letting us all know that clearly he was not able to save her. Of course, Richard Gere's character is absolutely devastated. He is tortured beyond belief. He vows to change his ways, et cetera, et cetera. Well, about a year later, he meets his daughter for the first time because he was such a lady killer back in the day. He had a few illegitimate children, and one of his illegitimate children reached out to him and says, "Hey, you're a grandfather." And so the moral of the story is this, and that I think proceeded to change his life. So I said all that to say this. The grief that is caused from the death of a loved one can be eased by the birth of a loved one. So, Dane, you have my deepest condolences. You have my deepest condolences for your loss, but you also have my sincere congratulations for getting the opportunity to pass on his legacy. And I'll end it with this. I'll land the plane here. This community is based on girls, game, muscles, all that good stuff. But what's really important at the end of the day is building a legacy to the point to where you can be on your literal deathbed, surrounded by the people who care about you. That is the meaning of life, guys. It's not money, it's not game, it's not girls, and all of those things can make life enjoyable for a while. I can attest to both the pros and the cons of all of that. But life is not about any of that stuff. What it really, really means is that you have people around you that you care about who also care about you.
Well said. And thank you for the congratulations.
Of course, absolutely.
I'm very lucky right now.
Yes.
I had a great life with a best friend that was my father. And now I have a new best friend. So.
And I'll tell you what, one more thing is I know what it's like. I know what it's like to grow up without a father that you admire and respect. And so consider yourself to be very, very lucky to have had a father like Thor, my friend, because I'll tell you what, man, had I had a father like Thor, I promise you, I probably would not have made the mistakes that I've made in my life.
Oh, I feel the same way. Thor has sort of turned into a surrogate dad to a lot of us in this space. We were all blessed to have known him. Speaking of another surrogate father in the space, Wraith he's also known Thor for quite a while. He's been very influential to a lot of men in this space too. Wraith, you want to share your thoughts? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I was following Tarl's direction to mute my mic. I agree with Donovan. A lot of people come to this space looking for, male, female, how do I do this and date and all that stuff. But I think one of the things that, I've tried to do, and I know Thor tried to do, was to convince, men that it's not about that. It's about you. It's about you getting your headspace right and you doing the things that you need to do to make you a better person. And I think that's what keeps this group together, because we're in that space where we're always challenging ourselves. And that was one thing that, Thor preached: constant challenge, constant learning, constant challenge. And I mean, he challenged me about 7-8 months ago. I'd been writing for years. And when he asked me to write a book for his series, I said, I got one, but I don't know. He goes, no, he says, just send it to me. And I sent him my first book, which is a part of his series. And it was all for a good cause, and I'm not going to go into all that, but it's kind of spurred me to start writing or taking outlines of stuff that I had written over the last, 8 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And turn them into, books. And if he hadn't have done that, or if he hadn't had that need, I would have probably still been sitting here not doing that. So, even I'm older than he was, but even he could inspire an old man.
Right.
But I think what inspired me most was the friendship I had with him. I mean, we talked every week on the phone. Sometimes we get on, and because he'd like to say hi to my wife and stuff like that. And we met not long after my wife died. And he was there, and he talked to me about it and stuff like that. And he kind of got me through some of that. We just become great friends. We had a lot of the same interests. Guns. I'm a big gun nut if no one knew that. And we talked about that, but we really talked about how do we help young men and, even men our age improve themselves. And that's where I met him at the point in his life. And I know he's inspired a lot of people. I know he's been a friend to a lot of people. And, it's not often we're blessed with the grace of being able to give that to someone. And he had that more than anyone I'd met up until this point. He was always thinking about other people and how to get them, where they felt they needed to be. Not where he wanted them to be, but where they felt they needed to be. So as a leader, as a mentor, as a friend, he was the best of all those at the time I met him in his life. I know his past history. We've talked about it. He knows mine. And we just kind of bonded over, I guess, the miseries of life that we both had. And then the celebrations of life that we both had. And he was just, I'm not going to say was, he is an all around great guy. Because he always, excuse me, I've got a cold. He'll always live, in my heart and in my mind. He's not physically here, but the words are always in the back of my head.
That's good. You mentioned the book. A lot of people don't know this. Guys, if you are watching right now and you've read Thor's first book, A Dominant Masculine Presence, drop a 1 in the chat if you've read it. If you haven't read it, what are you doing with your life? That's what I want to know. It is a life-changing book. A Dominant Masculine Presence is a life-changing book, but a lot of you guys don't know that Thor, before he died, came out with 2 more books. He's got 2 other books out there. Wraith helped him with one. I helped format another one. But there's 2 other books out there. If you guys get Thor's books, all that money goes to help his wife, Missy. So if you guys haven't read those, get them. They will change your world. I want to move on to Mike Steele, brother Mike Steele. Not only is he a dragon, a car on the dragon ship, he's also one of my beer club brothers too. Mike, how did you meet Thor, and what are some of your fondest memories?
I met Thor through the crossroads of the manosphere, Donovan Sharp. Donovan Sharp is the man all men must pass through to start interacting through the manosphere. It's great. Real quick, Fresh and Fit is in the house, guys. Thor did a one-on-one with Fresh and Fit on their channel, where he talks about being a power lineman and also dominant masculine presence. So swing by the Fresh and Fit YouTube channel and check out their interview with Thor. It's lengthy and detailed. Check it out. Anyway, I met Thor through Donovan, and then I met Thor again through John MLD, Modern Life Dating, through his Masculine Empowerment Network course. And Thor gave a class there. And then I got to know Thor through some of the other content. I'm trying to remember the name of the show. I'm drawing a blank here, guys. I've been kind of out of the game for a bit. Rule Zero. Through Rule Zero, and then a couple other shows. And then Thor came down to Vegas, where I currently live. And I don't know if I have share permissions. I doubt it. But I have a photo here. This is the only photo I have.
If you upload it, I think Glenn's still managing things in the back. Maybe he can bring it up.
All right. Well, it's staged, so if he ever clicks it, there we go. There we are. That's when he came down to Vegas, and that's actually when I also met Glenn as well. But what's really cool about that is that's when he gave me some private coaching, like one-on-one, sat down in a room together, private coaching. And at the time, I wasn't making a whole lot of money. My career was just kind of meh. But what happened was Thor coached me on some things, and like how to shake hands, how to take up space, how to sit in a chair, how to talk to other men. And then I took everything he taught me in that kind of 1 hour session and I applied it to the next job interview that I had. And now, because of that, I got that job and I now manage a resort in Las Vegas. So
Wow.
I want to say thank you, Mitch. That's your name, right? Mitch. Sorry, it's the first time I met you. Thor's son, Mitch. Is that correct?
No, it's Dane.
Dane. Okay.
Okay. Mitch is Vidar.
Okay. All right. All right. I see. Thank you, Dane. Your father isn't here, so I'm gonna say thank you to you. Um, your father helped me a lot, and I used to be kind of like this nervous little hamster of a guy, and he really helped me basically calm down and just kind of assert myself into whatever space I need to. And that calmness and that immovable force under pressure, I believe, is not only one of the things that has helped me become a happier, better person and a better man, but it's also why my career is taking off. And right now, guys, I am currently in the interview process for a different job that pays even more than a resort administration job.
That's unbelievable.
And it's understanding how to play the game. And Thor taught me a lot about that. And so, Dane, thank you so much for your father. Thank you.
All right. That's good stuff, Mike. Let's throw it over to Chavez. This is the first time meeting Chavez. Nice meeting you. What do you have to say about Thor? How do you know Thor?
Yeah, first and foremost, thanks for having me, gentlemen. Most people don't know who I am. I'm in a very peculiar, I guess you could say, situation because I carry the the weight of regret in terms of learning about Thor a little bit too late. I wish I would have known about him earlier. And full transparency, I've been kind of studying his methods and studying his ways. Not very long. As a matter of fact, I got his book on order. It was supposed to be here yesterday, but they had like a misshipment. I'm pretty upset about it, to be honest with you. But I wanted to give an interesting perspective as an outsider, essentially, but also as one who understands the logic and the reason that this man applied. It's absolutely amazing to me to see and listen and hear how he conducts himself in such a professional, respectful way. And really, he clearly understood the end goal. He really clearly did. And what's ironic is that I preach this stuff all the time, but he put something into perspective that I've been trying to say for years. And I pride myself on my wisdom and my knowledge and all the books I read and all this other stuff. And I heard him say just one quote, and it really it really shattered me. It hit me, and I'm gonna share that with you guys today. I was gonna share and actually do an audio, but I'm having some kind of hiccups right now. But ironically enough, this was actually on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and it was the very first question that was asked. There was a young gentleman as a viewer who asked, or the question was asked rather, what is the difference between dominant and controlling? And Thor's response was, and I quote, "There's a huge difference between dominant and being controlling. Dominant just being in control of yourself. Dominant is just being in control of yourself. Think of it this way. If you have really good problem solving skills," and I'm trying to speak slowly so this can kind of marinate, "you're dominating everything in your life. that's highly attractive, and you're not controlling anything except your life.
Right.
And for people looking in, it looks like, you know, you really got your shit wired. Controlling is you don't have any of that shit wired. So you're telling everybody else to do stuff for you. And here's the key part here. In an effort to either inflate your worth or to, you know, make up for the weaknesses that you have. It's a simple end quote. It's a simple quote, but I absolutely believe that in the short term or in the short run that I've learned everything about him, I feel like that already encompasses everything that he has been trying to say, and that can go in so many different directions. It's like it's a universal applicable law and rule that every man can absolutely apply to their life, from the younger generation to the now generation and even to the older generation. And the reason why that spoke so much to me, and I'll close with this essentially, is that I'm making it my mission to create more awareness and to help the boy become a gentleman. And I want to be able to encourage girls to become ladies. Chivalry is not dead. Modesty is not dead. And this man clearly understands that. And it's just so important to me. He, like many of us, have a choice to make each and every single day to choose what is right and to choose what is easy. And somebody said earlier, you know, he never wanted the fame. It wasn't even about the money. It wasn't about the popularity. He clearly chose what was right. If he chose what is easy, he could have sold his soul and been super popular. He could have lowered his standards. He could have lowered his principles, his values and morals and everything, and stood on his own name. But he knew it was much bigger than him. And he absolutely, and again, just as an outsider learning about this man, he absolutely exemplifies what a real leader, truly what a real leader needs to be. And man, I can't wait to dig in deeper. So brothers, and any of my sisters out there who are listening to this, stay the course, fight the good fight, defend justice, honor. Let's restore the lost art of civil discourse. And thank you so much for having me, guys. I think I'll probably be stepping down, but thank you so much for having me, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. Appreciate that. Let's throw this over to Tarl. Tarl likes to yell at the audience. That's what he's known for. Why don't you yell at us about what Thor means to you, man?
Well, Thor and I met actually vicariously because I fell down the rabbit hole of the manosphere looking to how to become a multimillionaire the legitimate way. That was the original search I put into Google. And I more or less ended up stumbling down that rabbit hole, you know, found Rich Cooper's video, found Donovan Sharp and Myron, found Rolo and MLD, and then found Thor and MLD's mastermind. And it was kind of interesting because we ended up bonding unexpectedly, because when he was telling a story about touching the live wire in '91, turned out that's the same year me as a 6-year-old child ended up, you know, going through a similar physical hell, more or less the story of Odin. We both had to give up a significantly physical problem. You know, we had to go through a turmoil, give something up physically in order to acquire wisdom. For me, that was the wisdom of delayed gratification, right? Like Thor learned he didn't double check his work and he touched a live wire. For me, I was scared of needles. And so I chose a urine test over a blood test, and it came back negative wrongly. So I went through 2 weeks of hell as a 6-year-old, basically going through acute ketoacidosis, which is an extremely high blood sugar. And when I found out that we both went through that physical hell similarly the same year, I you know, was like, hey, let me share that story. And ever since then, like Thor and I have been kind of in contact, and he saw what I, you know, did working with Fresh and Fit. And when he decided that he wanted to try to revamp everything, you know, he had one plan, but he had a couple of variations of that plan. One included him winning the battle with cancer, and one included him, you know, making sure that everything would still go the way that he wanted long after he passed. So he asked me when that time came to help out whoever needed that help with his community to make that happen. So that's why, you know, Glenn has appointed me as a secretary and brought me on board, and I'm helping with this process. And that's a perfect springboard to talk about what, you know, Paul wanted to talk about next and play a video. And this is what Thor is basically going for and what we will be working on. You know, this is just one part of it, and there's still a lot of logistics we need to figure out in order to make everything happen. But, you know, we do have a lot of things in the work, once again, honoring Thor, not just on this stream, but continuing forward.
That's good stuff, man. I think Glenn wants to play a video next.
Gentlemen, there comes a time in every man's life that he must choose. Will I remain a casualty of my emotions, or will I rise as the commander of my presence? Too many men stumble across the red pill and get stuck these days. The truth, but they don't grow from it. They get angry. They rage. They point fingers at female nature and cry betrayal. A dominant presence doesn't need the rage. The truth has a fuel, an excuse, a fire that burns about purpose. He is in a forge, the man into iron, that forged man into iron. And when you are forged in a purpose, you don't have time to complain about women. You're too busy conquering your mission, too locked in on legacy, too focused on forging a brotherhood, building strength, and creating impact. That's what a man with presence does. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't fold. He stands. He leads. And those around him feel it. Because if we're ever going to mend the rift between men and women, and if we're ever going to fix the broken homes, the fractured families, the confused sons, and the unled daughters, we need men of presence. We need men of purpose. Men who understand the weight of leadership. Men who move with enlightened self-interest, not selfishness, not martyrdom, but mastery. Men who are builders, not victims. Men who inspire with their presence, not manipulate with pain. And if you're that man, if you're ready to stop the noise, cut through the confusion, and step into your birthright, then it's time for you to join a brotherhood. Not just any brotherhood, but the sons of Thor. But because in this brotherhood, we don't compete, we elevate. We know the secret that a rising tide lifts all ships. And we are that rising tide. So stand tall, brothers. The world is waiting for your presence to arrive. Let them feel it and join the sons of.
Oh man, it's hard hearing his voice like that, you know, but it's good hearing it too. I want to throw this over to the lovely and rabble-rousing Gia McCool, who causes a lot of trouble online. Gia, why don't you share your thoughts on Thor?
Oh, you know, he was one of the first people in the group when I started sharing relationships and my relationship that was there for me. You know, like when you come onto Twitter, as you all know, kind of get attacked a little bit. And he was the one that reached out to me.
Gotta have a thick skin.
And I'm working on it. I'm not quite there, you know, but I'm getting better. And he was one of the first ones that was like, hey, like, listen, this is normal. This is what's happening. And I just like, he reminded me a lot of my dad, because I lost my dad in 2018 to the exact same thing, to cancer. And I was right there by his side through the whole thing. So we just had a lot in common. Like I knew what was going on, and I just tried my best, you know, to it's just a shame because there was a couple times we tried to do live streams together or get together. He wasn't well. But long story short, yeah, I'm going to miss him. You know, I just want to be able to make sure that the message that he put out and all the work that he did is continued on the way that he would want it. And I don't want that to get forgotten.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think a lot of, I don't know if people know the inside baseball about, you know, what's going on, but Thor handed over the reins of the dragons to Glenn And I think that was the best choice because Glenn had the most altruistic vision of what to do, and that was to keep Thor's legacy going. And so we're all lucky that Glenn stepped up and decided to, carry that forward. And a lot of people also don't know this too, but for like the last 2 to 3 months, Glenn's literally been living with Thor and Missy and helping them out.
Yeah.
That's selfless, like that's nobody in the space would have done that. And so Glenn is, he's really a good man for doing that. Gia, how'd you first meet Thor?
Online, like how I met all of you and
all of us weirdos.
That's kind of the beauty of it. You get a chance to hear what people's thinking, and then when you meet them and actually have the relationship develops. It's the beauty of social media.
It is too, and that's how I met Thor too. And I wrote the foreword in his second book, The Superhero Inside. And one of the things that I talk about is how I first found Thor. He was just a dude in the comments. He was just
right.
Just a dude in the comments. And I'm like, oh, and as as someone who's, influential online, you start to notice the same people all the time. And you start to develop sort of a relationship with different people in your audience, especially the regulars. And so Thor was kind of like that, one of those kind of guys. I thought he was just, a normal fan of the Manosphere. And then one day I tuned into a Fresh and Fit episode. I think it was one of Donovan's CMEs down in Florida. And like everybody in the Manosphere was on that Fresh and Fit episode, and Thor sitting there. And I'm like,
that was great.
I was like, what the fuck? Who's this guy Thor? He knows the Fresh and Fit guys. Like, that's crazy. And if you guys haven't heard of Fresh and Fit, you must be living under a rock, but they're like the biggest fucking men's podcast on the planet. Right. And so to see Thor there, I was like, who is this guy? Right. It made me ask that question. Who is this guy? And then when I got invited to be on Rule Zero, Rolo brought me on. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, he brought Thor in. And that's when I really got to be friends with Thor. And Thor invited me on the Dragon Ship. And I thought, yeah, I'll throw this guy a bone. I'll do a Dragon Ship stream. And I ended up doing it for 3 fucking years straight, giving up my weekends for 3 years straight, doing Rule Zero and Dragon Ship back to back. And so, it's funny how things sort of play out in this space. But you're good people. One of the things that Glenn also mentioned too is that Thor had this idea of the Shield Maidens and doing a whole panel show of just women. And he invited you to be a Shield Maiden.
Yes. So, that's why we kept on trying to do these meets. And every time we would come on, like the last time, he just wasn't feeling well. So me and Glenn would, keep going. But yes, that was his idea. So I just want to respect that and help as much as possible.
That's great. Glenn was saying he wants to bring up Ashley, Thor's daughter, to say a few words. Glenn, you want to bring her on up?
Yeah. Okay. Hi, guys.
You're live. Let's go.
Live. I don't do this kind of thing, but I'm being forced to today. No, I'm just kidding. I'm happy to be here.
Don't be nervous. There's only 500,000 people watching. No big
Hey,
deal.
brother.
Hey.
What's going on? I love you too. Today started out really, really hard, but this has been really good. Really good. It's
good.
Yeah, and I'm here on behalf of my mom too, because this is hard for her to do this as well. So, but here I am, and I honestly don't even know what to say. Everyone said so many wonderful things, and they're all so different, but all along the same lines, and it's also true. And you guys heard my uncle Miko talk earlier, and I kind of felt the same way with him. Like there were 2 different versions of my dad, and obviously I got a lot more of the Mikhail version. And those years with him, and all that time. And it really formed me as the person that I am today. And I'm so thankful for all of that. And yeah. And then, you know, life changes and, you know, you move on, and I became a big girl, did big girl things. And, you know, he went on to become Thor and really take that on, and went head first. And, you know, he doesn't do anything half-ass. So it's been really cool. I didn't really get to see a whole lot of that, is what I'm saying. I've been really busy with my family and other things. And just over the last week, hearing all the stories and seeing all the videos, and, you know, it's just been so cool. But I kind of feel robbed. That I like don't get more time to see more of that and understand it more and appreciate it, and yeah, just have more time. But I mean, just so many things. I mean, I've been here for a week now helping support my mom and, you know, just do all the things. And his legacy is already living on so much. Like, I got one of his necklaces today, and I think that's so cool. And
the Thor's hammer you're talking about?
The Thor's hammer. It's right here. My girls are wearing them too. 2 little daughters. You know, just things like that. Little things whether it's his puppy that he loved so much, you know, just like seeing pictures of her. And I mean, that was so cool. And things, I don't know. I've been like raiding his closet while I'm here, like stealing all of his sweatshirts and just,
you know, I'm curious. So I have a son and I have a daughter, and I tend to give them 2 different pieces of advice when it comes to like life and relationships.
There you go.
I'm curious. Because I know what Thor would say to a guy. What kind of like lessons did he teach you being his daughter?
So many, but mostly to go to college and find a husband. Really?
There you go. There it is.
That's essentially the advice I give my daughter too.
That's it. You know, and I think
my daughter, I tell her, I don't know, get married, please do. It's going to be beneficial to you. And for my son, I'm like, don't get married. There's no benefit.
Do it.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Oh man. Paul Benjamin, Apex Mindset showed up.
Hey,
what's going on? You finally made it into the chat. I saw you saying that you couldn't get into the backstage. It was full, huh?
Yeah, it was full a couple of times. I tried. I've been listening passively, you know, for the last hour and a half. You know, I mean, you guys are doing a great job. So I just wanted to kind of come in and pay my respects. Really, that's it. I mean, this isn't, you know, this is about Thor, really, you know. Anyways, that's all.
I'm gonna go back inside with my mom. Thank you all, everybody. I appreciate
thank you for sharing that stuff, Ashley.
Yeah. Thank you.
By the way, I think this is worth noting. I think that there are a lot of people in the chat who probably don't realize that Thor is actually his name. That is the name that is on his driver's license. So yes, this wasn't a shtick. He didn't decide that he didn't go see the Avengers and decide, no, this man's name was really Thor.
Oh yeah. No, it's funny. I first met him too. Like I met him in California, like in person, right? And I'm like, wow, dude, this guy is really eccentric, right? But like really cool at the same time. I'm like, he's named Thor. He has this whole Viking image thing happening. He like looks like it. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? But he had such a presence about him though that was really unique. You know, he just had a good, solid masculine presence. You know, he used the title of his book, a dominant masculine presence. It's like, and real recognizes real, you know? So like, you're just like there, you're with this dude who just seems to be relaxed, and, you know, there was nothing fake about him, even though his name was Thor and he had a Thor beard and he had he looked almost like comic book esque, but not at the same time. You could tell he was very, very authentic. You know, it was very much who he was. And then as I got to know him more and got to see like old pictures of him and stuff like that, and then like when he kind of had this like transformation, I'm like, well, that's also really a testament to someone coming into their own masculine identity. You know what I mean? They'll throw the word masculine around a lot or whatever, but you know, coming into your own identity, it's like, you know, he was living his life a certain way and some things weren't setting well with him, and he really did a lot of self work to become that better version of himself, that best version of himself, and really who he authentically was. And you could tell, I could tell from the old pictures and the way he talked about it, like, you know, when he kind of made this transformation, and he was transforming into himself, you know, into who he really is. And that's what a lot of us do, I think, you know, as coaches of other men, which, you know, Donovan and Paul Bauer, you know, you guys are, you know, it's, you guys are coaching and mentoring other men. And a lot of what you see is guys coming into, you know, your coaching space, whatever it is, and they're not living authentically who they are. But then as they develop with you and as they learn more about the world and learn more about themselves, they start to do what they want to do and what is more authentically themselves, discovering who that is versus, you know, what everybody else wants them to be, what everybody else wants them to do. And so it's, you know, it's really interesting to watch that process for people and really rewarding to do that. And then you could see that Thor embodied that. You know, he was that guy who did that for himself, and then he dedicated his life to teaching and helping other people do the same. So I don't know. It was just it was a blessing to have met the guy and have become friends with him. You know, and I also had the honor to work with him and Missy as well on some mindset stuff, kind of more related to my practice and what I do. So after her accident, and it was an honor that he trusted me, you know, to do that. And we saw she got really good results from that stuff too. And the few times him and I did some stuff together, we you know, it was really rewarding for us both. So that's really all I have to say. I mean, it's, you know, you guys are doing a fucking great job over here. And yeah, it's too bad he's gone.
Yeah, I want to add, you talked about Thor and this identity and how when you first met him, he was almost comic book-esque and he had this presence. If you guys haven't done it yet, get Thor's second book, The Superhero Inside. It talks all about developing that identity.
That's a really
for
good
yourself. One. It will change your life. It will change your life. And like I said, all of Thor's books, all that money goes to Missy now. So you're not just learning something, you're actually helping out the family. So please do that. Glenn's back. Cool. I can step down now.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's a lot easier to run these things from behind the scenes, you know, so much easier.
That's why you're Mr. Producer, right? That's
right. That's right, Mr. Producer. I want to go to Red next. What you guys don't know is, like, me and Red have been friends for a good minute now, and through the entire time I've been here, Red and Thor start having conversations about AI, about the future of things. And I'm also going to bring up Tiki Tack here in a minute to talk about something that Thor's vision that we're putting into action really soon here. But go ahead, Red.
Hey, Glenn, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. I know I'm kind of a new guy on the block. My domain is more Twitter and not YouTube, and the live streaming, like, there's legends on this stage. So I really do feel honored to be here. You know, my Thor story is I found out about him from the episode of Fresh and Fit that no one watches, right? Everyone only watches the after hours, but I watched the How to Make Six Figures with Blue Collar Trades. And I heard this story of a power lineman who took a huge electric shock and then became this male self-improvement guru that wasn't out here just talking about building harems and the red pill, blame women, red pill rage. This was a guy who was an intellectual. We talked about everything from technology to politics and philosophy, and he was a great man. So I think that the people in this room are a reflection of how much impact he's had on the world. And I think that his legacy is going to be a great one.
No, his legacy is vast. His reach is worldwide. Randall has been here from the very beginning. You know,
really quickly, Glenn, Randall, if I'm not mistaken, I think you were at CME2. Am I wrong?
I think Randall was there. Randall, your mic's off.
There,
Though.
and that's probably, yeah, your mic is off. Yeah. I remember seeing Randall at CME2 and possibly CME3. I don't remember exactly, but my guess is that you probably met Thor at CME2, which is the one that he had come to. And I remember this story. I remember a story you told everyone. You said that you had lost a lot of weight and you ate your way back to 250 pounds or whatever. I'm just making sure I have the right guy. Okay. That's what I thought.
I want to say something real quick, Donovan. You know, you brought up that, Thor wasn't a character. That was really his name. What are the odds that someone named Thor would go on to be a survivor of an electric incident? I mean, if there isn't a such thing as some sort of divine, whatever you want to call it, there's a divine plan to what we're all going through in this world. Whether I'm not going to be here speaking about religion, but I will say, what are the odds of something like that happening? Someone named Thor survives an electric shock as a power lineman and then goes on to create content that inspires men how to be superheroes in their own lives. I used to be a video game addicted dork who had no prospects in life, and I came upon this part of the internet, the red pill, the manosphere, whatever you want to call it. And I have significantly changed my life because of people in this room, because of people like Myron, Fresh and Fit, and because of Thor's books. Once I found out who he was, what his story was, and I read his book, this has had a real impact. This isn't a bunch of people just talking on the internet for their own vanity. Many people in this room aren't just trying to improve their own lives. They're trying to improve the lives of others, whether it's Gia trying to improve the lives of women, whether it's Donovan, Glenn, and many others on the stage who are trying to improve the mindsets of men. This isn't something that we're doing out of full-blown narcissism or a quest for influence. This is something that is actually changing people's lives. And if you ever look at IRL red pill content, how many men do you see coming up to these influencers saying, you changed my life because of your content? I go to the gym because of your content. I'm building a business because of your content. Me and my wife are in a better place in our relationship than I've ever been. That is not insignificant. That is something that matters. It's important. And I think Thor's contribution to that moving forward is going to be extremely significant.
And just so you guys understand, that's why we do it. Okay. Yes, the money and everything that comes along with it, it's nice. I'm not gonna lie. But when you get stopped at the airport, when you get stopped, at the grocery store, nothing. There are few feelings in this world that a man can experience more of it's almost like an adrenaline rush than another man coming to you and saying, hey, it's because of you that my life is better. It's a truly humbling experience. And I don't know if I'm speaking for myself here, but to me, that is by far and away the most rewarding thing about being who and what I am.
Yeah, and I want you guys to know, Thor was very serious about this, but Thor also had a very, very comedic side. And even in his final days, he wanted to make his pain laughter. Right. And I'm about to play something with you guys that Thor and I created, kind of just making fun of, what it's like being his caretaker. Yeah. So,
hey, before you do that, I don't know. You can actually make money doing this stuff?
Hey, fair warning, there's no nudity in this. Is there, Glenn?
This one is no nudity. No nudity.
Okay.
You're good.
Just making sure. All right. Good stuff.
So, what's it like being a caretaker for RP Thor? Well, let's just say brings back the fight from the good old military days. You know, he could be a very strong-willed individual.
Rise and shine, you grumpy old bastard. It's another beautiful day of me keeping you from falling apart.
I swear to Odin, if you don't let me sleep, I am going to create the largest fart cloud. You will be questioning your masculinity for the rest of your life.
If I ever smell what's brewing in your gut first thing in the morning, I'm quitting on the spot. Get up before I have to drag you out of bed like a sack of potatoes.
I'd rather be in a coma than hear you nagging.
Trust me, so would I. Now let's go before I start spoon feeding you like an oversized toddler.
Will there be airplane noises?
No, but there will be threats of violence if you don't move your ass.
My approach is be an asshole, complete asshole. That's right. I want him to realize every waking moment that he's alive that I'm an asshole.
What the hell is this?
Yogurt. Breakfast of champions.
What kind of bitch ashery is this?
Look, old man, the doctor said no more greasy food. So it's either this or I'll blend it and then I'll force feed it to you.
I'd rather eat dirt.
You probably already have. Now shut up, eat your damn yogurt before I shove the spoon down your throat sideways.
You know, back in my day, breakfast involved 6 eggs and a woman licking syrup off of it.
Stop. Nope. Don't you finish that sentence. I will drown myself in this yogurt before you finish that sentence.
What's wrong? Don't like hearing about a man's glorious past?
Bro, I have to help you in the shower. I don't need a mental image of you covered in syrup, okay?
Fine, I'll eat this pathetic yogurt, but if I grow tits, it's your fault.
At your age, they were gonna sag anyways.
This is bullshit. Walking isn't for men built like warriors.
Yeah? Well, standing up without wheezing is for men built not like they're about to be a collapsed barn. Keep walking before I speed it up, all right?
I don't see the point of this. When I was in bed with women that were half my age, that was all the cardio I needed.
Bro, last time you went up a flight of stairs, you almost passed out. I thought I was gonna have to drag you around like a wounded warrior.
Look, if I start sweating, I'm calling it quits.
If you sweat any less, you're gonna turn into a beef jerky.
I do taste delicious.
What is wrong with you?
Relax, you can look, just a touch.
Oh my gosh, I want a refund on my life choices.
I don't need a shower. Women love my natural scent.
Your natural scent has been banned by the Geneva Convention. Now get in the shower before I throw you in there like a misbehaving dog.
Look, Glenn, if you scrub my back, I promise not to moan too loud.
If I hear one moan, I'm calling a priest. I'm not playing with you.
You know, I once had a woman bathe me in a hot spring, totally naked.
And now you got me, fully clothed, disgusted, and questioning my life choices. Life is funny like that, isn't it? All right, you're fed, medicated, showered, and exercised. I don't want to hear anything unless it's an emergency. Do you understand?
Look, I have deodorant on. What if I get lonely and need to canoe on?
Then hug your pillow and pretend it's 1983. All right?
Son, you know I once had one.
Stop. I already know where this is going, and I don't need that mental image, okay?
What, you don't want to hear about the time I...
Good night. Good night. Go to sleep.
Ah, my Viking son.
Go to sleep. I'm going to go pray.
Thank you. Would you check on Melissa too? She gets very tired this time of day.
I will. You don't get out of bed. Just stay there.
It works. It's good for him. Yeah. You know, I should probably open up like a boot camp for the elderly. Your parents are acting up? Send them on over. Send them over to boot camp. We'll get them straight.
Yo,
well, yeah,
classic.
Nice,
dude. That
content creator to the very end, Donovan. Content creator through and through, man.
I mean, in the middle of pain in the middle of agony, in the middle of, you know, fighting this fight,
to be able
he
to
was like, he still wanted to make funny content. He still wanted to bring joy and inspire people. And he was relentless to the end. And he did well. He always did well, even though the script we had to re-edit multiple times. But you know, it was still great. Still great.
That was good. That one was better than the other priest video you did with
Hey, we don't talk about the priest video.
no. I don't think anybody does.
But you know, I wanted you know, to Red, I'm gonna bring you down. I wanted to bring up Tiki Tac, who's helping us with the next project that Thor wanted to do. So Red, any final words?
No, I will say that this is a true testament to someone's legacy, because not everyone on this stage right now, not everyone in this space can get along all the time. There's many people on this platform that have beefed for various reasons, but when it comes to celebrating somebody like, yeah, Donovan, you better hide. They've been trying to set me against you for months on Twitter. Yeah, it's been a straight war.
I say to them, get in line.
Yeah, right. All right. Now, but this is the point. The point is that someone like Thor had such an impact that people are willing to put their differences aside to come together to celebrate him. That is a legacy that I hope that when I leave this world, I could leave behind as well. So thanks for having me, Glenn.
That was
Awesome.
that was actually one of the things that Thor really wanted to put out there in this space too, with the dragon ship. That's why he said the dragon ship is the rising tide that lifts all ships, was because we actually do better when we work together than we do when we're beefing over stupid shit, you know?
Yeah.
And so Tiki Tac, go ahead and introduce yourself, and why you got such a great name like Tiki Tac.
That's the reason why I'm sticking around right now. Yeah. I want this explanation.
And I want you guys to hear, like, when Tiki Tac started Thor's book, he sent me a message, and he's gonna share what he sent, but also how and what project that Thor enlisted him on doing. That's gonna really impact everybody in the future. Go ahead, Tiki Tac, take it away.
Yeah, sure. So where I came up with my name, I was actually 14 at the time when I came up with that. I was thinking of the sticky tack on the teachers' walls where they hang posters, and that's where it came from. It's nothing special.
I thought it was like a basketball reference, like, oh, they're calling ticky-tack fouls or something like that.
I might steal that for another show.
There you go. I'm a sports nut, so.
Yeah, so I actually I came across Thor's book just only a couple of months ago. And after reading it, even into the second chapter, the only thought in my head was, wow, this guy's a fucking genius. You know, it's he is speaking the words that I've been trying to communicate to a lot of young men for so long, and how to develop and improve themselves. And it's like the mission within young men right now is to, you know, find women, have a family, be successful, all that kind of stuff. But it starts with themselves. It starts with developing who they are as a character. And this is where I believe that dominant masculine presence has brought in the message of how to do that. And once you improve on yourself, everything else just starts falling in line. It's like everybody around you starts improving. The women find you more attractive. Your life gets a lot better financially. And off of that, it's I feel like it's a great mission that everybody should be getting behind on in order to communicate to young men. So why I bring this up is when I spoke with Thor, alongside with Glenn, it's he brought up an idea for an app. It's a mobile app that allows for mentorship. The idea being is that people can hop in onto this app and start scheduling meetings within the dominant masculine presence brotherhood, and be able to learn through the mentorship on things they may feel like they're falling short on or they need help on. It's because Thor's book, it's a great primer to get started. It has a lot of valuable information in order to help you out, but everybody's situation is very unique. And that uniqueness is where they will sometimes need consulting. They'll need a mentor underneath them. And I know through my life, mentorship has always been a very amazing thing in order to actually build my own individuality and my own strength. And I feel like a lot of that's now lost in this online era. And this is where Thor's app and being able to create a way where people can actually schedule with mentors and get those lessons is going to be a valuable tool in helping the young generation thrive. So it's I guess last comment I'll throw in there is I think it's pretty amazing how even after Thor's passing, he's already planted enough seeds for his mission to continue on. And I think I'm just one of those seeds right now. So I'm not going to take too much time. I know that the times that I spoke with Thor, the couple of times, he was a very humorous person, even up until his death. And that is a great character to have. But I just want to pass that message along to say that his mission is not over, and it's only just starting a new phase.
Good stuff.
That's good. I didn't realize Glenn stepped down.
Oh, that's right. It just was dead silence. But after
let's throw it on over to Laurent, our financial guru over in Tokyo.
Good morning, gentlemen. So my first encounter with Thor was through MLD. It was a week long. MLD does those marathon coaching when he brings a lot of people. And what Thor said really resonated. I was in a very tumultuous relationship, abusive relationship, and but still feeling the echoing to this day. And then we built a relationship with Thor because what he said, I mean, he's walked the walk. So this is why his voice resonates through with a lot of people, because he's walked the walk. He's not just talk to talk, he's walked the walk. So it really resonated. And the details in his story were really salient. So fast forward to 2020, I think, COVID happens. With James Miller, who's not in the panel today, we realized, oh shit, this is the time when everybody lost money on the markets, so on and so forth. So we did a mini series with Thor. We brought the idea up to Thor, like, hey, this is the time where everybody's going to hide under the desk. Let's do a mini series about financial, we call it the plunder. And it was five parts. And this is really Wall Street level. And I remember because at that time, MLD was trying to do something about money and all this. And then he was listening to it like, dude, this is good shit. I'm gonna plunder the plunder. Thank you very much. I'm gonna do. So, but it was really good, and it was done under the auspices of Thor because it was really done from a caring place. And this is the great thing about Thor. He was caring. It was not judgmental. It was a kind of tough love, and so it's always been there. He had this humorous, facetious side. There's this very caring side, and also tough love, because we need the tough love. Also, the first time I heard the name of Thor was through Paul Apex Mindset, because Missy had just had this accident, and Paul was doing a fundraiser, to which I contributed, by the way, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember, which is awesome. Thank you.
And, final words, I would say that Goethe, the German poet, said that there are two types of immortality. There's the little immortality and there's the great immortality. So the little immortality or small immortality is when people who knew you remember you after you passed on. The great immortality is when people who didn't know you remember you after you passed on. So I think it's incumbent upon all of us to carry the torch forward, to make his legacy alive, and to keep going. I mean, he touched our lives, he helped us, so the least we can do is carry on.
Yeah, that's good, Laurent. That's good. Let's throw it on over to Chris.
Hi, guys. This has been a wonderful stream. It's really actually been very inspiring to hear everybody talk about what Thor did for them. I mean, it's just so beautiful. You know, we don't do things like this because someone has died. We did them because they lived. And Thor really lived. I can't. I definitely encountered him through MLD's community, I believe, but there was always a sincerity about him, and there wasn't anything showy or he didn't go over the top, but he was just there, and he was definitely a presence who grabbed your attention and held it. There was just something that said, "I better listen to this guy," and I don't feel that way about very many men out there. I did not get a chance to meet him in the flesh, but certainly knew him online. I'm sorry I didn't know, but. I loved his story about about his mistakes, and when you're honest about your mistakes, I think it creates a lot more trust and credibility, because if none of us are perfect and we try to act like we are, it's just going to turn people off. Thor was a great guy. We'll miss him, and I do have somebody. Can somebody give us an update on how Missy's doing?
Dane, you want to give us an update on that?
Yeah, I mean, she's hanging in there, staying strong. She loved her husband very much, and they've had some struggles before it got really bad, and she's I know she's grateful for the way he set up everything, and I think she's getting a lot of support from the rest of the family, myself, my sister especially, my brother. Glenn has been a godsend, so thank you, Glenn, for helping out my mom. Appreciate that.
Well, you certainly have a lot of the same mannerisms. I'd love to see that, see a video on how to do a job interview. That was just an amazing story. How to sit, because game applies a lot more than to a lot more than women. Unfortunately, it's certainly job interviews.
Yes, that is definitely true.
Yeah. That's why I always say when you level up to get better with women, it tends to make you a better man in all areas of your life. It's weird how that works. It's almost like
social
it's almost
skills.
like
Like if you
women
can't talk
inspire
to a
us.
woman in a grocery store, you shouldn't be able to talk to a woman. Period. It's all about social skills.
If you can conquer women, you can conquer damn near anything. And I think that's
Yep.
that's the reason why when guys figure out women, they tend to figure out other things just because of simply because of the similarities that come with the principles of dealing with such like you were talking about earlier, the job interview. 100%.
Yeah, it's how to do a job interview. I'm ashamed to admit I didn't realize Thor had 3 books. I just went and bought all the Kindles, so it's a really amazing story. Just certainly sometimes that when my own father died, I remember one of the first things that hit me was well, if I ever have any kids, they'll never know them. But it's but you have these legacies, you have these now we have all these videos. There's so many ways we have to remember people now that we didn't have years ago. We have the videos, we have the recordings. It used to be getting your picture taken was just a big deal, but now we have all this stuff. We're so fortunate to have it now. It's Thor was a good man. I'm glad I got to, and really inspired to. This has really been an inspiring day. It's nice to know that there were so many people who loved him, and this is the kind of funeral we all want to have. So thanks, Thor. Thanks for everybody who showed up today too. So
thank you, Chris. Randall. You muted, Randall. Muted. Randall has any technical difficulties, but he'll be.
Yeah. Every once in a while, StreamYard can be incredibly temperamental. Sometimes you'll do everything right and it still goes wrong. This is just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
So what happens when you're doing it live.
Doing it live, folks.
Hey, we do it live.
Randall, are you there? Do we have you? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play this video while Randall's taking care of that. I really want you guys to understand he was very, very dedicated to writing this next book that I have been tasked on. The elegant femininity presence, and it goes with the Shield Maidens. And people may be wondering, well, why is Gia here? Well, Gia, he had this list, and I'm just gonna play what Thor says. Here we go. You really wanted to push the Shield Maidens.
Yes.
And like most guys in the RP space will say, no, women don't belong here. Right?
That's correct.
But you're saying, no, women do belong here. Men and women are better together than apart. We're not adversaries. We need to build a bridge. And, that's what we plan on doing with Gia McCool, when we work with her.
Right.
And I know she's watching right now. She just messaged me. So
Good.
you want to say anything about like the idea of why you wanted to do the Shield Maidens and why you think Gia would be such a great Shield Maiden?
I do, because Gia understands the power and the concept of how men perceive fame and loyalty and status. She really does. She understands the status, and she's one of the few that I found that does. And she finds that the status, when it's tied to merch, is valuable. She also finds that the books, when released and when given away, are extremely valuable as well, because they give everybody the background they want, such as women do want to become they do want to become
Elegant femininity.
An elegant.
Sorry there. So he ends it by saying women do want to become an elegant have an elegant feminine presence. And Gia is out there taking hits from everybody left and right, from people in the space, other creators, women outside the space, because she's betraying the sisterhood. And Thor really wanted to encourage her and wanted the dragons and the sons of Thor to work with her in helping develop that Shield Maiden squad of other, women like Gia who have no problem in saying, yes, no, we want a dominant masculine man. We want a man we want to be feminine, not feminist. We want to be feminine, feminine and friendly, and Gia, we are the guys on this panel here that you see, they all love and respect Thor, and they will all have your back as you do it. And we will help you, be there to help you, to encourage you, to support you as you take on this Shield Maiden role.
Thank you. I truly believe that men lead men. I've always said that. But I think that women can help other women. And I do think that the good thing about being a woman is that we have a little bit of insight of how women operate, right? Nobody knows women better than another woman. So
ain't that the truth?
it is important, I think, to have somebody that can have the insight. And one of the things that's helped my relationship and my marriage over 20 years is understanding male nature and female nature. So that's why Thor, that's why I love Thor, because he understood where I was coming from. He knew I had a very curious mind. I always wanted to become better every day. My motto is learn something new every single day. So with that, I do want to help women. And I think that a lot of women are kind of turned off from it, or from the manosphere or red pill, just because they feel like they're always getting kind of attacked, right? And I think that women are very funny in the way that you communicate them, that they have to hear the message in love, and they have to be able to relate to it. And I don't think there's enough out there. So yes, that's why I told Thor I'd absolutely down to help him in any way that I could.
And Gia and I have been working. We have some things coming up in the future that we're working on. We're going to be really taking what Thor wanted us to do and create a couple pilot shows and see how they take to really kind of bring out this squad of female Shield Maidens that are ready for battle. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great opportunity. Gia, I wanted to give you an opportunity because I know you're busy. you are a very busy person as it is. So if any final words here, and you can stay on if you like, but I just wanted to give you that opportunity to exit if you had other things to do.
Yes, I'm going to let somebody else take my spot, but I just want to say thank you all for, all of your welcome. I appreciate being here. It's an honor. I will always remember everything that Thor taught me. I will continue to spread his message, and he will never be forgotten. So thank you guys. I appreciate everything.
Take it easy, Gia. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll be talking soon.
Okay, see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, gentlemen. Randall, you ready? Are you here, Randall?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you loud and clear.
There we go.
No idea what's going on with my audio, but it's all right. Anyways, Dane, I just want to thank you for sharing your father with us. He was a father figure to many, myself included, and I count myself lucky to know him. So thank you for that. But yes, I've met Thor in person several times, and I've met him online through MLB's men community. And he was just so open and welcoming to everybody, even the Spurgs. He tried to help everybody. And so he had the utmost patience, and it didn't matter how many times you stumbled or you struggled, he was there for you. There's times where I had to step away from the dragon ship to focus on real life. And I felt like I was letting him down by having to do that. But he never did that. He never gave me that impression. That was just me. I just gotta say, like, one of my struggles, and I know some others struggle with this, is imposter syndrome. When others look to you as a mentor, when you feel like you know nothing. Your father told me one day in Miami, when I talked to him about this, he's like, we stand on the shoulders of giants that came before us. So don't feel like you don't belong where you are. Because those men put in the groundwork to lift you up, to put you where you are now. And don't you dare let them down. Don't dishonor them in that way. And so I know for me personally, I'm going to live my life in a way that will not dishonor your father. That when I see him afterwards, after it's time for me to go on, he will look at me and say he's proud. I hope all of us can live a life half as rich as his, because that will be a life well lived. Thank you, Dane. Thank you to your siblings, and thank you to Messi for sharing him with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Randall.
No,
I'm gonna go and drop you down, Randall. We'll talk soon. I want to give the opportunity to Ken. How you doing, Ken?
I'm doing well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can, sir.
I hope you guys will forgive me if I slip and call my friend Mike. That's the only way I knew him. He was one of my oldest friends, and I'm calling my friend. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories I think you might appreciate, because I'm one of the guys who can tell you these stories. When we first met, a group of us got into martial arts, and we had a great instructor, a good leader, and a guy who taught us very diligently. Mike joined after us and quickly surpassed us. Our first belt, to pass the belt test, you had to perform every technique perfectly and not get hit. We would stand face to face, and the other attacker would strike at you with either hand, and you had to execute a counterattack perfectly. If you failed one time, if you were touched, or if you bobbled your technique, you failed, and you have to retest again later. At any rate, most of us took a little bit over a year to get our first belt, which is equivalent of perhaps a brown belt in a lot of styles. Mike got his, I think, Mitch correct me, but I think about 9 or 10 months. So he started well after us and got his. He was the second one that I knew of to get his belt. The first one was a man who'd been there longer than the rest of us. And then I'm going to give you one other story really quickly. I know there's other people who want to talk. Well, I got more stories than that. Dane, can you hear me, Dane?
Yes, I can. How you doing, Ken? It's been a long time.
I'm doing real well. I remember the first time I saw you, sir, I was in the hospital when you were a little baby. Mike had me come over and see you, his firstborn son, and I'm proud to see the man you become.
Thank you, Ken.
Mike has been an important person in my life, and let me see if I can remember another story. I had him before I got here, but once you're on the stage, it all goes away. Mike was diligent. It's already been spoken that he had a lot of interest, and he put everything he had into it. It reminds me of the scripture that says, everything you do with all your might. In the grave where you're going, there's no serving or striving or knowing. And also, whatever you do it for the Lord. So, Mike was a man that when you were with him, challenged you just by how he did things for you to do better. And I know very little about the things you guys are talking about, but it doesn't surprise me at all that he would surround himself with men striving for excellence, because that's the way he's always been that I've known him. And always very generous and uplifting. And that's how I'm going to remember him. Great to see. There's my other story. When Mike was burned in the vault, when my friend was burned in the vault, he was going through a difficult time in his life. It wasn't just that he made a mistake. His marriage was falling apart, and it was very distracting. He was taking care of his sons and having a full-time job. And Mike wouldn't make excuses, but I know I remember very vividly that his supervisor had told him that he didn't need to put safeties on him, that it was fine, somebody else had taken care of the situation. And Mike very nearly died in that vault. As a matter of fact, I remember him telling me about his coworker who dragged him out of there, who was a Vietnam vet, was crying out to God, please don't let another one of my buddies die in front of me. That might survive that. And that's what I want to share with you. When I went and visited him, he told me that in that intense pain that he was in, he had a big clock on the wall in that hospital. He didn't have a television on, he just had that clock. And he just watched that second hand sweep around 60 seconds at a time. He just survived for 1 more minute. And he was, years later, he was scarred up to some extent. You could really only tell looking at his hands, his face healed miraculously. But I remember vividly the quote, and I'll end with that. He told me, said, Ken, the scars that hurt the worst are the ones on the inside. And I'll leave you with that.
That is real.
Thank you, Ken. It's good to see you, buddy. I know
My
he,
condolences to Mitch as well and the rest of the family.
he
Hi,
loved
Ken. Thanks for saying that, Ken. It's good to see you. Good to see you. You need to reach out to me. This
You guys can contact me. My phone number hasn't changed in years on Facebook or whatever. But we lose touch with people sometimes, and it's just life gets in the way.
Yeah.
And this is a very vivid reminder that just because somebody's not there doesn't mean they're not going through stuff. Just because you don't hear from them, they're still there. They're still. But I'm glad he's got friends to remember him and that we're living life with him. And Glenn, my wife, and I were wondering who was helping Missy and Mike. And we're glad to hear you were there.
It's good stuff. Let's throw this on over to Wraith because I think he's got to get going here pretty soon.
Yeah, and I apologize for having to take off, but I just wanted to say, to the Thor's family, I understand that you of the loss, but please celebrate his life, because that's the most important thing for him, because he was and is bigger than life, and people deserve to know about him for the next 100 years if your family can keep that going. And I, to Glenn and all those guys that are left behind, I am totally cool with what Thor wants to do. Him and I have talked many times about, including women in a space where they have an opportunity to hear from people that don't blame them for things. And too many times the space gets filled with that. And we as men can be harsh with women, I guess, sometimes with the way we talk about them or feel about them. But as Donovan knows, and Paul knows, I don't talk bad about women. I never have. And going on to the dragon ship, that was one stipulation that I give Thor. I won't talk bad about women. They've got their own issues. They've got their own problems. And my job isn't to go in and make them feel worse about themselves, but it's to educate them and men about what it takes to be, first off, human.
There you go.
And second off, about how to grow yourself and be the person you want to be. So I look forward to working with Gia, Glenn, and Vidar, and all the guys that are going to participate in this new venture. And if you guys need anything, get a hold of Glenn or get a hold of me, and we'll see what we can do to help. With that, I'll miss you, brother.
Thank you, Wraith.
Thanks, Wraith. Let's throw it on over to Donovan Sharp, because I think he's got to go too.
Yeah, I've got some stuff that I got to take care of. Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This was very cathartic, I think, for all of us. I think grief can be, and just like the guy on the bottom left, I forgot what your name is, but that's the realest shit I've heard in a while. Is sometimes the scars on the inside can hurt worse than the scars on the outside. And when you're dealing with grief, it's very easy to, spiral, do things that are uncharacteristic, because you are dealing with grief. It's very important that we choose healthy outlets, to relieve our grief and our sorrow. Because at the end of the day, when you destroy yourself because you're grieving someone else, you're dishonoring that person. The loved ones that we've lost, they don't want us to ply ourselves with alcohol or crawl into a bottle because we just can't handle things. Easier said than done, I know, but that doesn't mean that it can't still be done. So, for all of us out here who are grieving, the death of Thor, just make sure that we choose healthy outlets to sort of help us relieve all this stuff. It was great to be here. Great to meet all of you. Dane, again, congratulations on the birth of your daughter. My condolences to you and your family, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Donovan. I gotta say, I fucking love that Stetson, man. Hold on. AJ, that Stetson's pretty badass. I gotta put this on, and then we should throw it on over to you, man.
Dude, at first I thought I was gonna hate it. I mean, it's part of the culture, and now that I've pretty much 6 years now in Texas, I've kind of assimilated to it. But first things first, he wasn't able to make it, but he wanted to. Vince from Masculine Geek, he left me a message. Give his condolences to the families, Dane, Missy, Glenn, Mitch, and he just wanted to talk about how Thor joined us for D&D, some Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition, because apparently back in the day, you guys used to get down into it and play it, and he's excited to join us. We played a few games before got too hard for him to be able to be there for us during it. I've actually taken over one of his characters for the Drew Bay campaign, which we are going to give him a heroic last stand in the next couple of sessions, as well as we had Thor come on for mini painting as well over on Masculine Geek, and I have a 3D printer, and I printed him out a giant, pretty much Warhammer Proxy Titan. For most of it was printed out, and I'll put the link in for that for all the live streams that Thor joined on Masculine Geek. I'll put that in the chat right now. But as for me, I met Thor, like a lot of us, through MLD's Masculine Empowerment Network. Got to the point where I did the Money Muscles game thing with John, and then Glenn was on one of the Dragons monthly meetings, and it was a freebie that your father gave out to all of us. And Glenn's message resonated so much with me that I ended up joining the community. And eventually later on, Thor asked me to become a member of the Dragon Ship for the weekly panel. And I was honored with that. And that alone opened up so many doors for me. Whereas that's what got me in touch with Vince to start doing Dungeons and Dragons with him, and Rolo Tomasi and Rational Mail is one of the dungeon masters for that. So getting to work with Rolo one-on-one was pretty awesome. And your father gave me probably the best piece of advice I've ever gotten from anyone in the men's spaces. Don't start beef. Try to get along with everybody. And I try to honor him with that. I don't want to beef with anybody. I use our greatest superpower as a man, which I think your father was actually the first one to tell me, that we have the ability to walk away. So if something doesn't work for me, I'll walk away. And then the book project came to carry on his legacy and write on more books. I released my first book last October on emotional durability, something that I was probably like 70, 80% there. And then working with your father got me all the way there. During that time, I also switched careers, I'm in still the same career, but I switched employers, which again, you'll hear like Mike talk about it, Donovan talked about it. The knowledge that comes from this space, if used correctly, will benefit you so much. I went from all right pay for my knowledge and level to a 22.5% pay increase when I switched companies. And then in 18 months, I became a lead technician. And then last October, in April of last year, I went and made it my mission to personally visit him in California at his house, because I missed out on him in Vegas during one of MLD's Hot Dude Cons in Vegas, which Randall and I were at. We actually had conjoining rooms, and we had a couple of other guys with us there. Unfortunately, I missed out on your father, so I'm like, I'm not going to miss him out this time. So I made it my purpose to get out there and see him before one last time. I really wanted to get out there one last time, just work and other things just got in the way. And that saddened me, but I was there communicating with Glenn pretty much daily for the last couple months, just checking in, making sure everything's going fine. One last thing that I'll have to say about Thor is, for a lot of us, he started off as a coach, a mentor, a teacher, but then he became more than that. He became a friend. He became, in my case, as everyone else said, a surrogate father. My own father taught me the beta buck side of the house. He never really taught me the alpha bucks. And that's where your father comes in for a lot of the guys that are lost out there, that need that dominant masculine role model in their life. But yeah, that's about all I got for right now.
Thank you, buddy.
AJ mentioned his book, the Psychology Emotion. It's a part of the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence series that Thor masterminded. We talked about his 3 books, right? And the second 2 are a part of that series. But yeah. Thor asked that a part of his legacy was to ask a bunch of his friends in the space to help him create an encyclopedia of all this kind of stuff. And so, yeah, AJ's book is really good.
That's another thing that, just thank you for reminding me, Paul. I wrote my second book. I released it about a month and a half ago now. During the writing of that book and talking with your dad, these 2 books will probably be my legacy, because in the writing of my second book, I realized I'm probably not gonna have kids. So thank your dad for allowing me at least to have a literature legacy left behind to help out other men.
Mike Steele, do you want to say anything here?
Thank you very much for inviting me. It has been a privilege and an honor. Man, I the only thing I could say at this point would just be completely selfish, and that's I wish I had more time with him. Because if he changed me that much in one afternoon with an hour of coaching, I can't even begin to imagine the kind of man I would be if I got to have years and years with him. But I'm not going to worry about what could have been, because what Thor would want me to do would be to strike out on my own and shape myself through myself. So he's a damn fine man. There's no other expression. He's a damn fine man. And you look just like him, man. You look just like your father. It is unreal. And you even sound like him too. So you got if you don't have any ink, you got a lot of catch-up work to do. You got to get a whole.
I don't know about that. You don't know how much ink Dane got.
I only have one. And some
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Someone said it in the chat earlier. There's some big shoes to fill, but it's not like that, because we don't expect you to be him. We expect you to be you. But maybe just like a dash, a little of him.
You got to do the perched lips. You know, you got to do the perched lips and the eyebrow thing. There it is. There it is.
Get some blonde dye and get the little strip going.
But
I want to give
thank you for
Andrew
sharing your
K
father
real
with us.
quick.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I want to give Andrew K, who's been very patient, the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Glenn. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Here, let me start my camera as well. So my deepest condolences to Thor and his family. I hadn't had a chance to meet him in the flesh, but I was able to join the dragon shit. I got to meet so many of the men in there, and I got the chance to talk one-on-one with Thor about. He was so knowledgeable about blood work and getting your testosterone up, that it really, just that short conversation showed me a lot about his character and just about his passion to help other men. So it is a great, you can consider it a loss, but it's just a great step forward for everybody and for this new legacy that he has left behind, and his principles. And I think in one of the groups, I think this was before his book, but he made a list of different principles, and I keep it on my wall every morning that I see it. So even a stranger like me, it seems like your father left a lot. So my deepest condolences.
I appreciate that.
Dane, you know, I wanted to share with everybody our little video that I made us. You know the one. So Thor is a Viking through and through. Axe throwing was his thing. He made even how-to videos to axe throw. And Saturday, the day before he passed, we had the family here, but what better way to honor the man than to throw some axes?
All right, so here we are ready to learn how to throw our Viking axe
at our most hated enemies. Target. And I'm going to go ahead and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm facing away from the target. As you can see, nice comfortable stance. As I'm ready to throw this, I would line up on it. Even up, and I make my throw. And here we go. There's the knife.
Yeah. There it is. Look at that. Look at that.
In the flame from the wreckage of weakness, we rose with a name carved into stone. Every scar that we wear is a map of the pain that taught us to care. We don't chase approval, we don't beg for respect. We lead from the front, we command and protect. From the silence of shame to the roar of a core, we are men reborn, we are sons of Thor. Raise your hammer, raise your voice. This is the call, this is the choice. To be the fire that breaks the mold, to be the steel, unbent bold. No more boys lost in the noise. We build the men, we kill the ploys. We're the storm, we're the law, we are the legacy. Sons of Thor.
I love that he did that with everybody that came out to visit him.
Everybody that came over, they could not leave unless they knew how to throw a damn axe
And the knife.
and the knife.
Yep. That was fun.
Yeah, it was good times. It was really good times. We're at the end of the memorial at this point, you guys. I wanted to give anybody that hasn't spoken yet the opportunity to speak now. And then I'm going to drop everybody down. And me and Dane are going to have some final words. So if you haven't gotten anything that you wanted to say off your chest, this is the opportunity. If not, that's fine. There was a song that Thor bragged about all the time, and I'm gonna play it in the meantime. But if there's somebody wants to speak now, please go ahead and I will let you have
I
that.
think Vidar
opportunity.
wants to chime in.
Yeah, I want to thank, first of all, I want to thank you, Glenn, for putting this together. This has been really nice. And that song you had playing there on that video of axe throwing, that's pretty awesome. Can't wait to hear it again. Victor, it's great seeing you, buddy. We need to reach out and get in touch. My brother left such
Love you, Mitch.
great, love you too, man. He's left such a great legacy, and it's so wonderful to see the people that he's touched, and how it's going to live on. And you talk about the axe throwing and the knife throwing. It's something we've done since we were little, and he always excelled at it, like a lot of things. And I'm glad he got to share that with everyone. I know there's one story. We went to a Mountain Man rendezvous years ago, and we were a little late, and he was looking forward so much to being in the axe and knife throwing contest. We got there when it just ended, and from I believe it was 6 paces as he's walking up, they said, "Oh, you just missed it." And they put up a card for him. I think it was the 3 of diamonds. They put it up, and from the 6 pace mark, he threw the axe, and the tip of the axe went into the center diamond, and then he threw his knife after that, and the tip of the knife hit the metal part of the back end of the axe at that point. everybody was just stunned. Their jaw dropped, and they said, "Man, you would have won hands down," which was a neat little memory to have of him throwing that axe. So I just thought that I'd throw that out there. Thanks, guys, again for letting me speak here, and thank you, Glenn, once again for everything you've done and for putting this together. So love you guys.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you so much.
Love you, Uncle Mitch.
Love you too, Dane.
And we have a latecomer with Elliot. Elliot, you want to say some words?
Yeah, I thought I'd chime in before we close this one out. Yeah, it's been really good to see a lot of familiar faces on here as well. I told this story on the 24-hour live stream that took place. Geez, not that long ago, was it? It was what, maybe 2 months ago, maybe not even that. But it's a fun story, and it's a little bit of a twist from what other people have said. So I thought I'd come on and tell it again. But first of all, I did just want to say, thank you for sharing, Vida, your brother with us. I've said that to you before, but yeah, he's a great guy, and yeah, definitely has been a massive father figure in my life for the past 2 years. And yeah, I'm going to refer back to his book in the future for anything that I might need. And it's great. We're very fortunate to have obviously all the videos and things as well. Very, very fortunate. So I met Thor similarly to what Laurent said. I met him through MLD. He was involved at the time in, I think it was the Dark Pass, and this was in 2021, I believe it was. And yeah, anyway, I spoke to him afterwards. I was really interested to hear what else he had going on and what else he had to say. Joined his group. That was great. Met Randall, AJ, a bunch of these other guys that we've seen on here today. And I'd probably been in the group for about a year at this point, and was kind of, I don't want to say running through girls, but I was going through a fair few girls at the time. And I think I was maybe having a little bit of a dry spell after 2 weeks of it not going well. And I spoke to Thor, and he kind of just said, I think it's time that you find yourself a whale to harpoon. And so
time to bang a couple fatties, okay?
Basically, yeah.
Slump busting.
Exactly. So I got back on the dating apps. I got back on Tinder and these dating apps, and started swiping right on a few of the slightly larger girls, the 200-pound girls. And one of them matched, and I showed him the pictures, and he was like, she's perfect. Go get her. So I met up with this girl, took her home. We did the deed. 20 minutes into it, I'm like, I'm really sorry, but I just can't continue doing this. You're going to have to go. Sent her on her way, got her a cab home. And then I think I spent about the next 45 minutes sat in the shower, just kind of like, why did I do this? Thinking about my decisions. But Thor was absolutely correct, because he knew that I had the mental toughness to be able to deal with making a mistake. But it's important that we make the right mistakes. And I think he saw that. And it took me a while to understand that. It took me a few months to really understand it. But yeah, I'll never do it again. I'll never go after harpooning another whale again, or fishing for dumpster rhinos like that ever again. But
I told you not to. I told you.
Yeah, we always tell guys not to. We tell guys not to all the time, and I say all
you
the time,
told us not to.
Some motherfuckers got to burn to learn, and
Well,
learning
one
the lesson
thing-
yourself is very important.
One thing that a lot of guys don't understand, though, is especially if you haven't had success in dating in a long time, you don't have to bang you don't have to bang these fat chicks, but just going out and doing practice dates with some of these girls, it's actually good practice,
Sometimes your wingman's got to take the bullet.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wingman's got to get the big girl. Just saying.
Well, this is what he was trying to teach, is that he taught that, even the bigger girls, even the ugly girls, everybody, whether they're 65 years old or they're 22 years old, they all want attention. So go and speak to them, have fun with it. And Thor was a master at this. I mean, he could flirt with anybody and everybody.
It's fun. A lot of guys underestimate it. You know, a lot of guys just haven't trained the charisma for it. Charisma is completely trainable. That's one of the important messages that Thor talks about. You can train yourself to be charismatic through understanding conversation and practice.
And about the aesthetically challenged ladies, they also need love. They're human beings, and sometimes they haven't had love in a long time.
Oh,
And
she was
they're extra
enthusiastic.
enthusiastic about it because they.
Oh yeah, she was messaging me back the following days, like, when can I come over again? I'm like, I'm really sorry, but this is not happening. And I'm telling Thor all of this, and he was loving it.
I'm proud of you.
Love it. Thank you, sir. I feel like I learned a lot from that.
So yeah, if anybody else wants to go, we got anybody in the back, Glenn? Because I got no powers here like Paul, so I can't see.
No, that's
It's pretty
everybody's
empty
on
back there.
stage.
Yeah.
You want to just go around the horn then?
Let's go. Starting with well, Raduku and his harpooning. Final words, my friend.
Yeah, again, I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining. Like I say, Thor, as Randall put it very succinctly, he became more than just like an online mentor to a lot of us. He became literally something of a father figure. And the nice thing about that is that doesn't have to die with his body. We are here, as Laurent said, to continue his legacy forward. And I think we do have a duty to do that. We have a responsibility to pass his messages forward, use his words, use his terminology going forward. I mean, that's what he wanted. And we really should be doing that.
I guess throw it on over to Tarl there.
Yeah. Just speaking about Thor's legacy, he was a man that, you know, like it was said before, he plans and he never stopped planning. You could see even at the end, you know, when other people might have told him, man, maybe you should just chill. And you know, he's like, no, we're doing the dragon ship. We're going to keep pushing this content out. We're going to, you know, he was pushing Glenn, you know, asking me about like how to change the studio and stuff like that. Even just a couple weeks ago, like no joke, like this, he never stopped ever. He kept wanting to push his legacy and make sure that it did outlast his mortality. So I can't help but be humbled and honored that he would even, you know, include me in this. He wanted to remodel the Sons of Thor kind of after a motorcycle club. And so I have the position of secretary. And I looked it up. There's a lot of responsibilities and things like that, depending on how we arrange things going forward, that, you know, seem right up my alley and like a perfect fit. You know, that's the kind of things, liaison work and stuff like that. I'm really good at talking to people. And as Paul says, I'm also really good at yelling at people when I need to. Sometimes you need a drill sergeant, Paul, you know that. But that's Thor's legacy, you know, be able to speak to people how you need to speak at the time to help them get the result, not to make yourself feel good, not to make others feel good. He always was thinking about others, even at the end, even when he realized that he might not be here. Like I said, he had the same plan, but there was two variations of it, one with him and one without him. And he made damn sure that the plan without him would still go off without a hitch, even if he wasn't there to oversee it himself. So I can't help but be humbled. And as somebody mentioned in the chat earlier, traditionally, Vikings, I'm a descendant of Norse Viking royalty, we celebrate life. We appreciate it. Same way we give thanks for the hunt. We don't take things for granted. We celebrate all the good and ignore the fucking bad and do better.
All right. And then, sir, down the lower left, I can't remember your name, but
Victor.
All right. Let's what are your final thoughts, sir?
First, I want to say how much I love the family. They were part of my family. I grew up with them. So I really do want everybody in the Markinson family to know that it hit me really hard. I won't even get into all that. I know it hurts the family as much more, but anyway, I just want to tell you guys, there's so many places that Mike excelled. He excelled at a lot of places, and Mitch can confirm this. It really was that kind of a thing. I talked about his martial arts while he was still climbing the ladder at work. This is like major energy, right? You got to put out. And then after that, he decided to become like a bodybuilder. And then he became an author. And he became what you guys know him as, right? His name is Thor to everybody here. Well, that's his mother who had the foresight to name him that, right? Michael Thor Markinson. So his family is just part of the fact that everybody here sees the extension of who he really is. It's just an outcropping of his wonderful family. And I just want to say, in my concerns over Mike, was that at the end of his life, I was worried, and Glenn tells me Glenn was there for him. And, everybody needs to realize what a big job Glenn did. You could see it in that video. Huge kudos to Glenn. And he's still helping Missy. My wife is best friends with Missy. We love her. And I want everybody to know that, in my world, what mattered to me is that his salvation was there, and it was. And I love Mike. He was one of my best friends, my brother. 44 years. We grew up as teenagers. We had a band together. He continuously excelled. I got into all the things that you guys know him about, guns, food storage prepping, don't trust the government. And, he was the first guy to listen to Alex Jones. And I started listening to Alex Jones, you crazy, and he's like, it's just showmanship. He's just putting sizzle on the steak. But he was always willing to bend his ear in a direction that the mainstream wasn't in. And it took him so many places, right? And then when I had said to him, hey, man, have you thought about checking your hormones? Because I was on hormone treatment, and he got into that. Like, look at, everybody should know. He really got into it. And, he says, I'm going to be a bodybuilder and everything. And in fact, I don't know if you guys can see it, but back there, I have the fitness machine. Do you see it? It's the FT2, same one Mike has, because I went over to his house and I said to him, what the hell is that? And I was so blown away. He goes, oh, no, you got to go down there, go to the warehouse. And here's the card for Fred. And I get the deal that, I get the factory blowout because it was a really great deal. And I bought the same machine, and he comes over. I got a video of him lifting massive amounts of weight on it because, Mike always had to be really strong. He was enormously strong. But everybody needs to know that it's always a branch, right? You branch into new places in your life. And even at the end there, they were making funny videos. Seriously, that's really, we have to see it for what it is. It's a creative spark that God puts in you, and it just flourishes all the way to the last day. So I just want to say, and I'm sure he loved all you guys because this is what he did. So I'm glad that everybody was here, and I'm glad I got to meet you all. And, again, love and kudos to the family. I love the Markinson family, always will. And I'm very, very grateful to see all of his friends in the internet world show up and pay their respects. Praise to all of you. Kudos to everybody here. And thank you, Glenn. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you for that. Laurent. Laurent.
Yes, sir.
Final words, sir.
Oh, it's 5 a.m. here. So there's a storm. Yesterday, I was rescued by not rescued, but I was greeted by the Coast Guard because I was kite surfing and I drifted to a cliff. So the Coast Guard came and, dude, what are you doing anyhow? So I'm going to do that today again. And anyhow, Thor has entered immortality. He's touched our lives. He's really changed our lives. And what we can and should do and is taking small steps to honor him. It's not because he passed on that we should disband. we should continue. And Paul, you said something really interesting. You said this is why Glenn is carrying on the torch. He does it with altruism. He doesn't put his ego first. He puts the message of Thor, the legacy of Thor first. So let's continue. I'm always here, and I want to extend my thanks to Thor. He spoke to me at a time when I was really vulnerable and weak, and now I'm rebuilding my life. So I'm really grateful for what he did. And I'm also really grateful to have met all these sexy young men like all of you guys, like Paul, like Elliot, like AJ. I mean, all of you guys should be on Greta Thunberg, at least. You all are threats to the global warming. You're so hot, especially you, Paul.
Stop. No. Keep going. No, I'm just kidding.
And my deepest condolences to you, to the members of the family. Deepest and sincerest condolences. But you see, this is somebody that we probably didn't. I mean, I live 10,000 kilometers away, and still he touched on a lot of lives. So, thank you very much. That's me.
Mitch. I think you muted yourself.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I want to thank you guys all again for this outpouring of love that you have showing for Thor and the rest of the family. Really appreciate it. Thor, his biggest thing was his legacy, and it lives on through all of you. Laurent, what was that saying you had? You quoted someone about immortality.
Goethe. It's a German philosopher. It's a German poet who said there are two types of immortality: the small one and the greater one. The small one is when people who knew you remember you after you passed on, and the greater one, the greater immortality, is when people who didn't know you remember you after you passed on.
Thank you. Yes, that is the immortality that's going to live on with my brother Thor, because his books, his genius, it will live on, and it's so needed. I know that years ago, in the early '90s, when I started getting into the pickup artist movement and listening to everybody's theories and looking for myself to see what things were working and trying to learn the psychology of the interpersonal dynamics and how women are, and doing a lot of watching myself, I started bouncing in a nightclub, and I noticed, in fact, it was a nightclub where it was known where white women and black men got together, and that was what it was known for. And I kind of wondered why this was going on. And it didn't take me but a couple days of watching to realize that the only guys that were acting like men in that club were the black guys. All the other white guys were missing that masculinity. They were sipping their glasses of wine or a beer with their little pinky out and crossing their legs like a female, and it was became very obvious there was a lack of masculinity. And even when I still got into the pickup artist movement and then into the red pill, it was, to me, the genius of Thor, that all these little techniques that would work for that, and the psychology of that he summed it up completely, that what men were missing more than anything was that dominant masculine presence. And I think the world has purposefully, against God, has tried to drive that from modern men to destroy society. In fact, you can see that in a lot of things, that to try to take away that masculinity and take away the femininity, which results in the destruction of the family unit. And I think there was a genius there, and his books on teaching young men who may have not been raised with the ability to have a masculine man in their life is going to live on, and he's going to have that masculine, that immortality that's talked about, with men that have never even known him will remember him.
That's good. It's good. I think Glenn was going to do something here, but I'm not sure what's going on.
After everybody's on speaker, we'll play video.
Okay.
If I can, just I wanted to say thank you to Glenn for doing this. Big shout out to Glenn, Paul, AJ, Charles for continuing the Sons of Thor. And from all the things I think Thor has said, the thing that always sticks in my mind is are you living the dream? The nightmares are dreams too. I think that's the biggest thing. So thank you guys. Thank you to Glenn, and my deepest condolences. May Thor's legacy live on.
Sir, a skull.
You want me to
So
go?
the
or
way
you
it
want
comes
Tara to
across
go?
to a lot of people is I had my fun, but
You know, you ever notice how the red pill's really good at pointing fingers, but terrible at handing out solutions, right? Yeah, it'll tell you what's wrong. Feminism is out of control. Women sleeping around like it's an Olympic sport. The courts are rigged. Society is hostile to men. Cool. Thanks for the memo. But after that, what's the actual advice? Don't get married. Spin plates. Smash and dash until you're 80. Enjoy the decline. That's not a roadmap. That's a suicide note in slow motion. Roll Tomasi, the so far godfather of this space, has made a living screaming fire, but never handing out a fire extinguisher. He'll drop stats, drop warnings, drop rules that sound like they came from a dude who's got his heart ripped out from his high school sweetheart. And then he'll tell you, figure it out yourself.
So when people say, "Oh, Rollo's really going black pill these days," I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm red pill, and I'm just telling you like it is. I'm not telling you what you should do."
What kind of leader says that? Nah. See, here's the dirty little secret. The truth. They don't want you to figure it out because if you fix your life, you become whole, strong, secure. Stop clicking. You stop feeding their bitterness economy. You stop being their customer. Because let's be honest, if the red pill actually fixed men, the views would drop faster than a feminist body count in college. And then they try to act noble. Oh, I don't want clones of me. Translation, I like to be the center of attention. I like being the guy in the room who looks like he has his shit together, that looks like he has all the answers, that looks like he could be your savior. It's not mentorship, it's gatekeeping. Leadership is pointing in the direction. Leadership is giving direction, structure, standards. It's not giving you 9 iron rules dealing with broken women while calling yourself red pill aware and still obsessing over the same female behavior day after day. That ain't masculine. That's gossip. That's bitterness in a fitted tea. So here's your prescription. I will be brave enough to give you one, okay? The red pill's an alarm clock. It wakes you up. But if all you do is hit the snooze and complain about how early it is, then you ain't getting anywhere. You need to get up and start building. And that's where a dominant masculine presence comes in. You want an antidote to the chaos? You want to become the kind of man who women respect and life doesn't break? Then go read R.P. Thor's A Dominant Masculine Presence. And then read my book, The Essential Skill of a Dominant Masculine Presence. And start mastering the Super 7 superpowers: physicality, psychology, presence, problem solving, prosperity, power, and passion. The building block. Stack them, and you become a fortress. You don't chase women. You don't fear feminism. You're too damn focused on conquering your mission to care what random girls are doing on Instagram. You want to get married? Fine. Don't marry through the state. Do a covenant marriage through your church. Put your assets in a trust. Put yourself through an LLC. Let the LLC own the trust. Structure your life like a man who's playing to win, not one who is scared to lose. Yeah. Talk to a lawyer. Set the foundation up right, because protection doesn't mean weakness. It means wisdom. Look, you don't have to be bitter, and you don't have to be nihilistic. You don't have to throw in the towel because women aren't what they used to be. You just have to become the man who doesn't care what the world throws at him because his foundation is solid. His purpose is locked in, and his presence is undeniable. Build your life on you, the dominant masculine you, because sitting around bitching about women all day, that ain't masculine. That's emotional. That's reactive. That's feminine energy in disguise. So let's stop pretending rage is strength. Let's stop calling cowardice awareness.
R.P. Thor in the house.
Yes, sir. Muted, Glenn.
Dane, you and I got to speak a lot last night, my friend, my brother. I do plan on going golfing. Okay. We're totally doing it. I'm going to be Happy Gilmore. Okay. And
Sometimes my swing looks like that too, and it's successful. Sometimes it's not.
but we were talking about what your dad really wanted. He wanted to bring back families. He wanted to bring back that unity. And you know, your dad set the model with your own family. It wasn't the traditional normal family that everybody would talk about. But your dad took family, as broken as it was at times, and he put it all back together in the end. I got to see your mom, you know, your family all together, even when they were at hard times. He was the glue that held them together. And your dad led the life by showing us how to do it. And it's been an honor to be able to witness this. It's been an honor to have been there for him when he needed me. You know, your dad gave me some marching orders, and I didn't like all of them. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said to you earlier, I lost a friend, but I gained a brother. You know, and his legacy is not just going to live on through what we do here at the Sons of Thor, but his legacy lives on through you. And I told you, whenever you're ready, this cut, your father's cut, is waiting for you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you for upholding his wishes, his mission, and all of you for, you know, carrying on his legacy with Sons of Thor and just being there for him in his time of need, because I know he was there for you guys as well. It was reciprocated, and he was proud of all of you. He talked about all of you at length with me. It's going to be an interesting chapter with my new baby, and I just got to call upon him up in Valhalla and get the advice that I would usually get if I needed to call him. And that's the one thing that hurts the most, is just he was my best friend. Anytime I needed advice, he was the guy that I called. So I may call upon you guys one day. So I appreciate you.
And we will be here. We will be here. You know, Dragons, you guys remember in the beginning, you know, the music Thor would play?
Yeah.
He always would play this one song before the show would start. And well, it's only right that we have the creator of this song here to play it with us. Get some blood for Valhalla. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I want to thank the family for letting us honor this amazing man today. And I would like to thank the family's new patriarch for making this badass song, bro. And until next time, everybody, have a good one.
Yeah.